Alrighty. Hello, everybody who made it here. Welcome. This is the demo lounge session, the first of the second day, fourth out of a six in total. My name is Teemu Ropponen. For those who don't know me, I lead the MyData global team. And yeah, the 6 demo lounges are meant as a way to kind of loosely show, not just tell about some practical examples that we are doing. That's something that we always get asked by everybody is that, yeah, we understand, we get the big MyData vision, who is doing it for real and in what ways, show us. And that's one of the things that's also there in the MyData strategy. The key goal of the next years is to really help bring together, showcase practical advances towards the kind of MyData vision of giving users control over their personal data. So the demo lounge fits very well into that. We've got about an hour. We don't need to spend all of that if we get done earlier. And basically the idea is we've got 3 demos. They should last about 10 minutes or so. It's not up to plus minus 1 minute. It doesn't make a big difference, but about 10 minutes or so. And then we have about 5 minutes of discussion for each demo. And I hope that we can have a lively discussion. I don't need to do a lot of talking. Rather, it's more important that you do the talking and discussion. So that's the name of the game. Any questions? Good. And this time, no prizes. It's not a pitching competition. Rather the demo lounge. Of course, we appreciate all the work that you've done. And let's get started with the first of the 3 and interesting topic on MyData, AI, and climate change. So Oguzan can from Top Data Science. How do you say your last name, Agu?
Gençoğlu.
Gençoğlu. Okay, that's all right. Not bad. So you've been here at the MyData conference a couple of times before. Lead us through what you've been up to.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your time in advance, time and attention. My name is Oğuzhan, shortly Oğuz. I'm head of AI and co-founder at Top Data Science, Helsinki-based AI consultancy. And I will not talk about my startup that much now this time, but rather talk about this R&D project of mine, because I'm a curious person and I'm deep into actual machine learning and AI research and also business. So I like to play around with some ideas in the evenings and the weekends. And I saw MyData conference approaching, and I wanted to do something a bit maybe more research oriented this time. So I will go through what I did quickly. So there's statistically significant scientific evidence of anthropogenic climate change. Anthropogenic meaning human involved, or because of humans, because of us. But the concern in the public is not that level that it actually coincides with the level of the threats. There's like thousands of research publications. Why is this like that? Why don't we care enough? And a couple of recent publications hypothesize that because due to various reasons, we perceive climate change as a geographically, socially, or even temporally distant issue. It's somewhere in the far away in the future. It's somewhere far away physically. It doesn't involve me in my context, etc. And the second main reason is that it's kind of difficult to imagine. Like, really, we are visual animals. Imagine the risks and consequences of climate change. So we hear it every now and then in the news. Sometimes maybe we feel it, but maybe most of us do not feel it immediately in our garden or on our way to work, kind of abruptly. So basically, taking this idea, I have implemented an AI algorithm which can take any photo, your personal photo, your holiday photo. You went to hiking, you take a photo of of the forest or a nice scenery, a green scenery, into a forest fire version of it. And the reasoning was that uh, a recent publication by Sheehan showed that the highest level of engagement and emotion was raised by forest fire images. They had a study that they compared melting ice images or drought images, and fire images for some reason increased the most emotions in us. So I took that. So I basically downloaded, crawled hundreds of images of forest fires. It looks like this, and all kinds of images of nature, regular nice forest in Finland, for example. And I trained this algorithm called Generative Adversarial Network. I will not go into details, but the idea is that given a real image, it can turn this into an AI turns it into a forest fire version of it. And obviously the technology is advancing so fast that, as you can see, it's quite realistic in my opinion. I was pretty satisfied with the results of my algorithm. So I will couple of times go back and forth so you can maybe pay attention to the details. So the algorithm, for example, if you look at the bottom left, it can even it understands that the smoke is also coming in many cases in forest fires. So one cool thing about this algorithm, this generative adversarial, is a neural network. I will not go into details of the technical implementation, but it also works other way around. So we can visualize kind of what we have lost, or the AI can imagine what it was before the forest fire. Now these are the actual real photos of forest fires, and the algorithm kind of imagines how it was before forest fire. It's a bit dreamy. If you look into details, it's a bit it's not too realistic, but that's kind of what me and all kinds of AI researchers are working on to make things better, more realistic. You can use it for bad purposes as well, but for hopefully good purposes as well. So this was my talk. It's a very visual demo. It's not. I'm not trying to sell anything. So I would like you to kind of play around with my slides and see my video, and hope you are interested, and you can ask any questions if you have. Thank you very much.
All right, nice, and that's why the demo lounge is interesting. We've got quite different examples here. So, what kind of questions or thoughts to O's do you have? Anybody?
I was wondering, your program, it's trained the forest fire, right? So can it be trained so that you show the losing of an arm, and then like something like that, like for disabled people, you can create an arm, or for some normal people, if you want to show them, hey, this is how you feel if you don't have an arm, then you take the pictures and then remove an arm or amputate a neck or something. Would it be applicable also, like once you train it enough?
Yeah, I think so. So the trick is into this kind of AI algorithms is that the more data, the better the more realistic it works into this generative imaging algorithms. So if you have thousands of people with disabilities or maybe amputated limbs, and thousands of images of people without that, the algorithm can learn the visual features or attributes and create this mapping indeed. And that would be quite interesting to raise awareness to these abilities.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
actually, I have. Sorry, go ahead. Well,
yeah, I was just wondering, can you do 3D calculations with those 2D images that you have used there? So what is the depth, or how do you handle the depth of the images, in a sense, calculating the issues? You mentioned something about the limbs or bones, which are more or less X-ray photos of 2-dimensional. Can you do calculations in 3D?
Yeah, the term in a machine learning research is depth estimation. So you try to estimate the depth, the Z dimension from a 2D image. So typically, if you wanna create 3D generated images, like fake images, like I created, for example, these. If we want to have the 3-dimensional version of it, so we can move around with the camera, we would need typically exponentially more data than the 3D. So there's this, it's a concept of curse of dimensionality. So you need several magnitudes much more data to be able to do that, and it's still not there. So 2D to 2D, if it requires 1,000 images, 3D would require possibly millions of it, because actually, if you increase the dimension, you can imagine that it's several 2D layers. So it's really exponentially increasing the need for training data. I think it will be there soon, but not yet.
Great. And Wendy, you had a question.
well, yeah. Well, I was just, I'm impressed because I live in Southern California and now we have wildfire due to the climate change. And it would be nice that the residents here, if they, because, well, to be honest, live in city, the nature is still far away from, to bring up people's awareness. But if they see the because the Wi-Fi is so close to our residential area, this is, if the image shows that, all the house, like probably, the evacuation areas, the possibility it's under the fire, and then see the image, it will be kind of very, bring up the awareness to take care of our nature. So I do love this kind of thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Oz, to me, it seems kind of like, the Back to the Future, looking at the photo that's kind of disappearing or coming back. There's a certain sense of that. When will we see one that's connected to my Facebook or my Twitter or my Instagram? How would that be?
Yeah, I think that requires a bit of kind of turning it into a nice demo, kind of shaping up it a bit, so that whenever you post a photo of your hike, maybe it can, without annoying you too much, it can maybe create, hey, this might happen if we don't change things. Yeah, indeed.
But I thought that this was interesting because, I think the climate change aspect of kind of personal data hasn't been discussed that much.
True.
Of course, in some, like for example, earlier in the morning, there was the example from Grand Lyon with water, energy, and gas consumption, and kind of gamifying that, and they actually had good results gamifying. So something like this probably would actually be impactful. So we appreciate the creativity here and showcasing that. That's cool.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions to Oz before we head on to the next one?
A short question I have written in the chat. Can be an artificial intelligence tool offered for the general audience to recognize if an image is faked, has AI edit parts on the image?
Yeah, that's quite a hot topic too. Of course, there's thousands of researchers trying to research how can we make better fake images, more realistic, and the opposite, how can AI help to detect that? I don't know any tools, but it's a hot topic, and probably soon there will come such tools that you upload an image, it shows, hey, it has been edited here, or it's completely AI generated. It is a very hot topic in machine learning research.
Okay, thank you.
All right, excellent. So on we go, and yeah, like I said, this session is quite diverse in the three examples, three demos. So next, Ralph Ham from LabDo is going to talk about humanitarian networking to bring education around the world. So quite different from the previous one. Take it, Ralph. What's going on? Please make sure to unmute. Ralph, please make sure to unmute.
Yeah.
And,
sorry,
rewind just a bit.
Okay, sorry. So thank you for your introduction. I am just the founder of LabDo in Germany and participating at LabDo since 2012. Wendy Lu, who is in the audience as well, she founded together with some other guys 2010 LabDo in California, University of California in Irvine. And I'm going to show you in a very rough presentation who we are and what LabDo is doing. We are a humanitarian network to bring education around the world. We collect disused computers, laptops, tablets, install an educational environment based on Linux, and then travelers bring those items to schools or youth projects. We are a non-profit organization. We have about 5,000 registered users on our web page. And it's a grassroots initiative. And in 4 countries, in Spain, Switzerland, Germany, and USA, we have associations for a more formal approach to collect financial support and others. We are focusing on 8 out of the 17 SDGs. So we're looking not only for education, but also for a better environment. We support a lot of schools for girls and young women. We try to reduce the consumption of energy and goods, etc. I'm heading a little bit faster through this.
You have old devices and you have no idea what to do with them? Donate them to labdo.org. You will help to make the world a little better. Because we will bring millions of scrap devices to places where education is needed most. LabDo deletes all confidential data and installs child-friendly education programs in local languages. Then Volunteer Flight and Transport Helper will bring your IT donations CO2 neutral to children, schools, orphanages, and refugee projects. You even have the ability to track online where it arrives and how your electronic donation will be used. Children and refugees learn now using your computer, get IT skills and education. If a computer retires or breaks, it will be exchanged free of charge and returned for recycling. LabDo. Together we can help.
So this was a short explanatory video to show what we are doing. This is a slide to show a little bit about the impact. When you produce a laptop, you need a lot of water, energy, and chemistry, cobalt, copper, etc. So we saved a lot of those resources you can see in the table below. And as I said, I'm heading a little bit faster to give you a demo at the end, so you can read that later anyway. We install a Linux-based educational environment. We also install a lot of open educational resources, so schools and projects can use these resources offline. Most of our schools don't have access to internet, so we install a lot of local content. We say in English it's about 1 or 2 overseas container full of books and videos. Also, we add software for blind or hearing impaired users. So it's a lot of comfortable programs, LibreOffice, Firefox, Skype. During the last month, we had a lot of requests for homeschooling. So we even added Microsoft Teams for Linux and other tools like Zoom, so they can connect to their school and join the digital education. We have a lot of sources. We don't develop software for education ourselves. We just collect what is free available in the web. And then we have a portal I will show in some minutes. It is based on Drupal and MySQL. At the moment, we are migrating part of it to WordPress, but that is still not available. And here we have, here we are coordinating our, our worldwide processes. So the resources, the donated items, the requests by schools, the volunteers, the travel, everything is coordinated worldwide. So a school from Africa can contact a hub in Europe, but get the IT donations from California or New York. So everybody is supporting everybody in our network. We have it hosted at AWS. It's a pro bono support we get there. And we have a mirrored, we have 2 mirrored servers at USA and European countries, because we want to have a very stable solution. As if we are not running for one day, we have sometimes a huge problem, because the travel, everything is going daily. We are supporting close to 2,000 schools in 138 countries, so it's a huge network. And the way you can support us is very flexible. You can donate your disused computers. You can just talk about LabDo to your colleagues and friends. You can become a technical helper by sanitizing laptops, installing software and content. When you travel, you can take a laptop or a tablet to school, and you can inform schools and projects in need of computer donations about LabDo, and they can contact us and get support. I will show you very briefly about our homepage. So here you can see the items which we get donated, and you can see about close to 14,000 have been delivered. And here you can see all the details. Each computer is in our database with full details, who donated it. Of course, without the personal data, just anonym, but still to be able to recognize. And the donor itself can ask for a blind copy of an information, so he can follow up his laptop. This item was just picked up an hour ago, and some engineer from Africa picked it up, and it will go tomorrow to Kinshasa. And each travels are in our database. So who is carrying how many items to which project, and all our projects are in the database. So you can, for instance, filter when you travel to, let's say, Thailand. Yep. And you can check for, for open projects, and then you can see, is one of these projects on my way to holiday or to a business appointment, and then you can drop 1 or 2 computers at a school or a street kid project, whatever is whatever is claiming from our for our support. And we have hubs in many countries, of course, not in all countries. So if you like our idea, you can just add your personal address or your company address to our website, so people can find you and drop IT donations there. We have about 340 hubs actually worldwide. But we need any support is appreciated. Or if you like our explanatory video, and we have about 20 languages at the moment available, and your language is missing, just contact us. It's 1 minute of talking in your language, and then we add it to our video, and people in your language can learn about LabDo more easily. So I hope I could give you a very short overview what we are doing. And if you have want to have more details during the next 2 or 3 hours, there will be at the company Esatus 2 presentations of LabDo more in details, and tomorrow as well. So just join Esatus booth if you want to learn more about LabDo in details. Thank you, and now I give back the video to the camera to Teemu.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Ralph. And it looks like there was quite a few thoughts on the chat. I'll actually just open the floor. Who had?
Yeah.
You were asking about the environment. Just to make sure that everybody hears and sees, maybe. So we're asking about the education environment, the distribution. What are the tools? I think Wendy, you all answered a little bit, but do you see those questions, Ralph?
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through it. Okay, as Wendy said, we are using the Edubuntu bundles, which is more or less from primary school to university level. It is a collection of about 300 educational programs. But by the time we added a lot more of programs. So for instance, we have CAD programs or other programs edited. We had refugees here in Germany, and they were engineers in their home country, and they wanted to go back to education here in Germany. So we added more and more and more programs, and it is a collection of about several hundred programs at the moment, LibreOffice, etc. But they are coming in a kind of image for cloning. So you don't have to go through all the installation work manually. You just download a prepared image. We have one for English, for Spanish, for German, for French. And then you can install it within 30 or 40 minutes. So it's a very fast process to put everything on a laptop. And as Linux is very flexible handling hardware, we can use one image for any laptop, for any hardware configuration.
Okay, great. Dixon had a very relevant question now, which is that now around COVID time, how do you solve the issue of people not moving around so easily?
Yeah, that's true. Since springtime, we nearly lost all flight travelers, but there were 2 other demands. We had, of course, a lot of local demands in Germany, in Spain. Many schools focus that they are missing laptops for their pupils for the digital school. And so we gave a lot of computers away nationally or locally. And many helpers shifted deliveries to ship or plane. So this is not our favorite way of bringing items abroad, but at the moment it is more or less the only way. There are some flights if you are not for private purposes, but for business or as an NGO traveling, then you're allowed to travel, and there's still some transportations ongoing.
Sure, sure. And Thomas was also asking about how do you fund the deliveries? Is that via donations?
Yeah. The basic idea of LabDo is that everybody is contributing what he can do for free. So a traveler just leaves 2 T-shirts at home and carries instead of those 1 laptop to the school. So the basic idea, everybody is doing what he can for free. We don't pay for such travels or delivery. We have very often collaborative partners like associations supporting a school in Nepal or in Africa, and they visit usually, if it's not Corona time, they visit their projects several times a year. So we have a huge network of partners and helpers traveling, usually. We hope next year again. But I'm really surprised how much we could move this year, even in these difficult times. So everybody is contributing and for free.
Well, that's great to hear. And you mentioned Esatus, and you'll be at the Esatus stand, and of course Esatus being one of the partners of the conference. What kind of a relationship do you have then with Esatus and maybe other companies?
Yes, we have a lot of companies supporting us. Esatus is one of them. They plan to become a dropping point for IT donations, but Corona stopped everything. We wanted to have a workshop in their company, so they said, okay, at least come to the conference, tell about your great idea, and they invited us and support us. But we have a lot of companies, Heidelberg Cement in Germany, BMW. Each time an engineer flies to South Africa to visit the plant of BMW, he has a laptop in his suitcase and give it to a school or youth project in South Africa. So anybody can contribute in so many ways.
That's yeah. Go ahead, Andre.
I can add a little anecdote to that. The head of the LabDo activities in Switzerland, Frank Geisler, is a personal friend of mine, and this goes way back because he's a former employee of the company called Commodore, which made the first computers that entered in many homes, and I'm a big fan of that. So we met at occasions and we became friends, and so the connection came into being.
That's how I learned my BASIC from Commodore. So together we come. No, that's a great decentralized and crowdsourced effort. Thanks Ralph for presenting, and look forward to learning more on that. Great effort indeed. Okay, on we go to the third one. So we have from another partner, Solitar. Risto Kaikkonen talking about evolving trust in data sharing. Risto is here in a couple of places and shuffling between presentations of different events. Thanks for making it here. What do you have for us, Risto? Go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Teemu. Well, yes, some of the issues varies a bit, but today this was a demo, so I will show you a demo what we did this application, which is in my phone. It's Corona Blinker. It's Corona Vilkku. Does it show there? Can I use it like this? So this is the tracing app that I think broke a world record. Every third of us Finns use this. This is now in English, but I can use it in Finnish or Swedish as well. So this is one of the issues that we have been working on. This is the THL, the National Institute for Health and Welfare, which is according to law the owner of this one, but we have done it, coded it and so forth. So sharing the data in a sense in this COVID situation, this tracing application, the route that we came here is quite fascinating in a sense, if we can think about data sharing and all the issues, interesting. So I will talk something about this one. And I would like to say that normally when we focus, this is quite easy still. This is the application, it does only that one thing. It's a very good application because it does only the one thing only. So the Bluetooth tracing, and it's decentralized. But however, in Finland, the whole process is not decentralized. And that's a good thing. Everything shouldn't be decentralized. Everything shouldn't be anonymized. This is fully anonymized, but when I use it, when I push this button, if I have the symptoms in the future, I think the law will change a bit towards this kind of direction. If I push this button, I can switch to another solution, which is not related to this one, but everything comes from my side. I make the decisions, even will I download it or not, but I have downloaded it. And if I push here, I can go to another solution. There's a direct link there. Okay. This is a medical device which puts me into. And for example, in 16th of last month, so one day in Helsinki, our capital, 1,077 people use this Oma-olo service and use it in a not decentralized way. So they use it like they push their own symptoms in this medical device, and they went through all the details and send it an appointment to time to test for COVID-19. We saved in one day in one town, of course the biggest town, 24 days of work for healthcare professionals in one day. Last week I was in Washington. In Washington, the same magnitude would have been 650 days for one day. So the digital solutions, when you think about it, it's easy. This doesn't collect anything. And infection doctor says that it's not enough. It's not enough. We know similar solutions, and it's easy to build in this kind of solution. The technology is not that hard, you might expect. You can build in this solution also the features that the infection doctors need, but people won't use it. But if the people start using this kind of, we have now a little bit less than 3 million people using this software. If they want to proceed on their patient journey, it cannot be anonymized. It have to be centralized in a sense that you would get the local directions to the healthcare. So in a sense, this application has been very easy in New York Times to pull it through, but the real patient journey is much more difficult. I have some slides for you, which I will show you now. So the application is very, very simple, but of course we did it in very rapid time. We did this design there. I wouldn't talk much about technology because, for example, our company has done technology since 1996 and with agile methods, blah, blah, blah. We are technologically agnostic and so forth. The main point is there, how to be able to produce that kind of software with the trust and with the usability for that large of coverage of the whole population. And those are the issues that are the hard ones. I will show you some slides here, just a second. Some of the things that we are working on. Yeah, I will skip a couple of first slides. You don't want to hear our company. So this is the architecture that we have been working on. Of course, the whole architecture is much more bigger, but we have this kind of health platform in Finland, which is called Oma-olo. In here, it's called Solitar Health Platform because we are working on it, and in the future, we would like to see the export that kind of platform in the other countries. That was the CE mark medical device, which is connected to the local EHRs and also the National Archive. On the right-hand side, you see the COVID-19 tracing app. And of course, we have other issues that we work on. So in a sense, getting towards this one, how did it happen? Very short story, very long story, tell it short. First of all, the main goal was to get 1 million users in 1 month. We got 1 million users in 1 day. So that a little bit surprised us, but in a sense it didn't. In the Nordic countries, especially these results are from Finland, how we trust the authorities. In the Nordics, the tradition is that we trust the Nordic countries, the authorities, but when you go a little bit souther, for example, after the Second World War in Germany, People don't want, if you talk anything about centralized systems, they don't want to use it. So in a sense, if you think about the European level, why we came up to this kind of decentralized system, it's about the history. People don't trust the governmental bodies. Another example, a little bit south there, for example, the Greece. Statistical institutes are not trusting the Greece Statistical Institute because they gave out wrong economic data when Greece joined the EU. So we know a lot of things, that what are the building blocks of the trust in countries, what are the barriers, and between the countries. But in the Nordics, it seems like this. This is Citra's study that they made. So we knew that people trust, and the trust will be shared in other ways that expected. In the field of academia, it's easy. When you publish an academic paper, you can say that this has been peer-reviewed, it's openly receivable for everybody. It's like this in the academia. When you build a software, the open source is quite similar. So we decided for trust, so we published the source code 1 week before we published the application. And of course, the Finnish Transport of Communication and Agency has a National Cybersecurity Center that audited it fully. And of course, when we opened it, we had all the white hackers, the very professional white hackers and other companies that audited our code and said that, okay, it's good, you can use it. So deciding for trust was the key word, building this decentralized application that we forthcoming. Okay, it was a lot of work. In 10 weeks during the summer holiday season, the deadline was in the law, 31st of August. We had to work with the big ones, I mean Apple and Google, with other countries, 20 countries in the Europe, the ministries, the national authorities, and so forth. And also we did those integrations to this national platform in this Oma Olo platform that I showed you, which is a medical device. So all the patient journey was think through the first iterations in 10 weeks. So it was very hard work to do, but I think all in the team and all the people enjoyed it quite a lot. And of course, you can go also and check the code in the GitHub as well. So how does it work? I think most of you know how does it work. So it uses the Bluetooth beacon. The Bluetooth low energy is also a Finnish innovation behind all of the story. So it's a Nokia early stage Bluetooth technology, which uses very low energy, used mostly in different kind of sports activity gadgets. And in this sense, it only switches codes which are not related to people. You don't have to go to any applications to fill forms or something like that. You just download it. It uses the beacons and so forth. I think one of the issues that could be very interesting for you is that how we in Finland calculate the warning for every one of us if we meet people with our phones, of course, that have been affected. There is time attenuation, which normally means the distance, and also from the person that have been infected, you get the time from symptoms to start. So these three calculated together gives you a risk assessment score, and there is a national level warning level, which varies a bit in different countries. Now the next big thing in the roadmap is how to put it into action to every country in the Europe, because every country have a little bit different solution, but the background issues are quite similar. And this will be in the roadmap still during this year. So everything is happening very rapidly. I would like to say that we are doing a very good job in various countries in public-private partnerships. COVID-19 has all made it very into acid testing. How can we collaborate between bodies? But however, there are still issues that I would like to see in the future more. And this is something that I would like to say as a private company representative. We have to always think about the research part as well. When we build issues, we have to be very sure that we use the accurate information. We have to know the research parts as well. So in the future, public, private, and let's add the academia into that one. We have gone through this kind of cycles in a quite rapid way. I think if the COVID is like shit, you have to pick something good out of it. I think it have made a big change about the collaboration, how we trust it also in each other, private, public, and also the academia side. One result, which is a bit confidential, but I will tell it to you anyway, is that in the future we can also predict from, for example, the Omaolo, the future of the pandemic in daily basis. So we have made a calculation that is 68% accurate. What is the situation on Monday? What will be the COVID situation in Friday? So we could also build the resources that are needed after a couple of days. But that's something I'm working on right now on different levels. But the main issue today for you guys was this Corona Blinker and how we pull it through. I'm very proud of our team. The team did a great job, about 20 people during the summer hours. I'm very happy to be in Solitar to say this. I'm very proud of those people. And Samikki in the Twitter is tweeting everything very openly that you can check what is the situation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Risto, for that. And yeah, I think Solitar has been getting a lot of praise for a good reason, and at the same time, we of course Finland happens to get a little bit of credit as well. But I think here it's to you the credit that goes. So let's see what kind of questions do we have. Let's make it more interactive and open the mics. And Tsurt, you've got the first one. Go ahead.
Hi, hello. I hope you can hear me. So my question would be, if you know how many of those that were warned by the app to self-isolate or whatever the action is were actually infected. Thank you.
The people that have been infected, that have been warned, unfortunately, because we cannot follow those people, it's very uncertain. Omaolo gives us some statistical background to that one. So when I push the button, you can also, when you are altered or exposed to virus, you can tick there a tag which says that I came here because of the exposure. So we know the exposure ones from that, but the ones that are infected, unfortunately, from the decentralized system, you don't get accurate information about that.
So I think that these were exactly the type of things that we were debating about, whether to decentralize or centralize. And some information you lose, but it sounds like in the big picture, the decentralization has definitely worked in terms of trust and getting people to download.
Yeah, and I think that people are a little bit, you don't think about the Omaolo. I think that the solution, the application, the COVID tracing is the tip of the iceberg, and the rest beneath the water is Omaolo, which leads to local, not to just call this number or call that number. It leads to your local healthcare unit where you can appoint a time, for example. And in a sense, you get that kind of information, but you don't get it through the application.
Yeah, and I think getting that world record in downloads was remarkable. The white hat hacker that you mentioned there was actually just today published as the #1 IT influencer in Finland of the year, and he had, before the release of the app, at first said that I'm not going to download this. This one is spying on me. Don't download, and had then changed his mind. Who else has something on this? Of course, the topic of interoperability is one that we talk about. Trust, as you mentioned. Who's on the call? And racing against the clock. It's fun always when there's a law that says the deadline when your software is released, right?
Yeah, that's something that we haven't done earlier either. So it was quite fun to see that when the law came out, it was the 31st of August. You cannot release it before, but it said in the law that's the first day, so that's the deadline. So we had, of course, when we published the source code 1 week earlier, we have to be ready 1 week earlier as well. And of course, Apple and Google stores takes quite a lot of time to push those applications through that you can download them. So we had to be ready 1 week earlier than the deadline was.
Sure. And by the way, to Solitar's credit, I used to work for the Finnish government about 10 years ago, and we had the Citizen Initiative platform, which similarly had a deadline in law, and it was a great project that we did together back then. Yeah, Vladimir, why don't you just open the mic?
Okay, a lot of questions arose if Apple and Google are the main players, and if they would keep somehow the data after, and the control of angst, I don't know the English word, control how the people are afraid of these pandemics when it's over, hopefully. Do you understand my question? If your fame of Solitar will go to Apple and Google forever?
Well, of course, Apple and Google made the interface possible, so the exposure notification interface. So of course, they should be also mentioned in every case because it made possible that the devices don't use the battery that much. So and they also open it in some parts, also open source to be checked. But of course, there's some black boxes in those interfaces as well. So we have to rely on Apple and Google, and of course they share the credits for us as well. So it was quite easy to work with them, and they replied us quite rapidly as well.
Yes,
so,
yes, thank you. That was exactly, you answered better than I asked about these black box things that the audience doesn't know from Google and Apple. What happens when after the pandemic, Google and Apple somehow utilize this black box data?
Yeah, it's not fully open to everybody, even to us. So of course, there's still some issues that people could wonder. But of course, in these cases, we trust the ethics and we trust those companies about the issues that they have opened and the issues they have set.
Thank you.
But I think that will raise some issues and has of course already raised issues of like, is it governments who control the world or these companies? And in this case, the governments were at the mercy of the companies in many ways, and thinking about the way forward, possibly some issues to solve there. So I was curious, Risto, on that take, if you have a thought on the kind of political implications in the future, and then secondly, maybe a bit more technically, then like what are just for us to know, like what are the issues regarding the kind of cross-border interoperability that in practice need to be solved for us to get this cross-border thing going?
Well, the background systems where you collect the minimum data set, it's not that difficult because everything is built on very minimum data that you put on the background server. So most of the data is stored in our phones. So it's quite limited that you have to do in the background system. So in all, I think it's quite easy. But in a way, because this is only the tip of the iceberg, so you can live a little bit easier life knowing that you will get noticed. But the local systems, all the infrastructure, if you don't have any kinds of infrastructure beneath after the solution, what's the worth of the solution then? If you don't get appointment to take the test and so forth, what is the use? The patient journey just starts, but it never ends. So in a sense, I would like to say that in Finland, we have done from the 1995 so much with the digitalization. And now when we talk about only one app, I would like to talk about a little bit more about the not so sexy issues, which are the infrastructure. So in a sense, this is quite cheap to do. The infrastructure is very enormous job in small countries as well, compared to that kind of application that we did in 10 weeks. So the Oma-olo started in 2017, building it up really. So on the 16th of March, we had Oma-olo already. And nobody's talking, nobody's asking me to talk, for example, about the Oma-olo. Everybody is talking, and New York Times is interested about the app. So that's about something about the trust as well. We are interested about this kind of easy to understand issues, and we should have more time focusing the issues about the whole patient journey. And of course, it gets very fuzzy when you go to other countries. For example, in Germany, there's so many family doctors, and it's differently structured and so forth. But from my point of view, I would like to say in Sweden, they are starting to build, they have now procurement process which have been started building this similar platform that Finland already have.
And you're referring here to like the Oma-olo type of a platform.
Yeah, very similar platform from Inera.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point. We've used or started using now in terms of communicating. I mean, the issue you point out, the kind of apps and use cases, a bit easier to understand than the underlying infra. We've started to talk about with our service designers about the kind of front stage and backstage, and kind of backstage in some way being the kind of infra and the systems there. Even if, for example, this Oma-olo is used by citizens, it's somehow not so right in your face. And making sure that both of them get the kind of due respect and also the due clarity that people understand what's going on.
Yeah, think about it through. We saved 24 days of healthcare professionals work in one day using that Oma-olo in Helsinki.
So sorry, just very interested in what you said about the Inera, because I did a work for them in January, or for 6 months in December, January, March, and brought decentralized identities to their table and the models of MyData. And at the time, they gave it at least 5 years from now. So what is it that they're really procuring?
Well, they're looking forward to this kind of symptom assessment platform, which could be lead to local
I thought you were
clinics.
talking about the actual platform and infrastructure that is needed to solve this.
Well, that is in a sense that's the core issue there. And
No, sorry. The core issue is that as they are, is how they are governed. To be honest, they are not going to be able to leave their current platform until they are governed much differently than they are now.
Okay, I will have to check through the architecture there.
Yes. Sorry, but it's. I mean, they have done a great job. I've worked for them or for the predecessor of them for a number of years. So. But it is that they are, as Finland, very much stuck in the infrastructures which were created in the early 90s and early 2000s. And it is more difficult to move away from that than to do greenfield installation like Portugal has, for example. Or for that matter, the attempts from Germany now, which is quite amazing. Sorry for barging in.
No, not at all. Not at all.
That's why we are here to discuss and engage. Also, sometimes to have very different views. We're coming to a close of the session. So I'd like to thank the presenters and thanks everybody for your lively participation. We've now got 90 minutes to check out the partner booths, stretch out a little bit. And then we've got the next plenary session coming up. So thanks, and I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.